Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Oh, I'm waiting for it to load. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 5 in your second grand finals for this evening. This is the August monthly finals between Lucifron and Wam01. Spawning in on the north side of the map, playing as the English. The color red, it's Wam01 on match point.
And lining up perfectly with the colors, to the south is going to be Lucifron with the blue flagged Mongols playing as the color blue. Match point it is for Wam. Lucifron never has taken down Wam in a tournament set before. He's trying to keep his hopes alive from qualifying from the August monthly by trying to keep himself in this series. But as we talked about the Civilization matchup before the game, this is a matchup that the English should feel more than confident in.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at how the openings are. It seems like both players just going to be sticking with that one scout opening. We saw in the most recent patch that scouts had their training time increased from 20 seconds up to 25 seconds. And as a result, almost every single civilization has gone back to single scout openings. I say almost every single civilization. There are a few exceptions. The French, the Rus, maybe the Delhi in some matchups. But for the most part, single scouts definitely seem to be quite common. Yeah, now both players continuing with that trend. Far out. Look how far away this gold is. Have a look at that. Did you see that for Lucifron? That's a very far
out,
gold.
Actually. It's at the back, so it's relatively safe, but it's borderline safe, to be honest, because it's so far away that it's impossible to defend. What's more concerning is that both the ovus are in the front, so this is essentially a necessity for Lucifron to use this gold mine, because this is his safest gold, but it's in the middle of nowhere, so securing that with a TC was not a reality, really.
All right, well, let's take a look and see exactly how Lucifron plays this, because one of the big factors to remember is that the Mongols love to tower rush. However, it's difficult to tower rush the English. How do you go about tower rushing a civilization that's already got archers in the Dark Age?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You simply can't do that, which limits your options quite badly, and that's part of the reasons why Mongols don't like to fight against the English here. One of their biggest strengths is being removed by the sheer fact that the English villagers will just be stronger than the ones that the Mongols can field.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. But we do see it's going to be a quick age up here. It's going to be Deerstone. So there was a part of me that thought that might have been the silver tree going down. I got a little bit of excitement, a little bit of butterflies in the stomach, but not today.
Behind this one, Wam is playing a slower Feudal Age, by the way. He's dropping some farms. If this gets scouted by Lucifron, this could prompt him to play with 2 TCs, which is sort of the new school way of playing Mongols, and more players have started to pick up on that. I think, especially on this map, and especially if you're not expecting a lot of aggression from Wam, this is something that Lucifron could gamble on, and he could easily get himself a second TC rather fast, actually.
Yeah, that could be an option for him. I'm surprised we didn't see an early wheelbarrow coming out of Lucifron. Instead, he just opts for this direct age up. You know, something that we typically would see back in the old days, where you just essentially just rush the age up. Now we've got the Council Hall coming up for Wam on the other side. He's got that wheelbarrow through. And now we've also got survival techniques coming through for him as well. Hello. A little bit of survival techniques. And definitely strange to be seeing on the English of all civilizations.
You have a guaranteed hunt and he has already taken it down, so it makes sense to do it. It's not an expensive upgrade, it's something that finishes really fast as well, so the return of the investment is actually really good on it, and it allows some spectacular timings with the English. So like, his food eco is gonna skyrocket, and if he wants to play a fast castle or a semi-fast castle approach, that upgrade actually pays for its price really fast in such a build.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's such a cheap upgrade now. After the most recent patch, it was reduced significantly. I think it was about 30% that it was reduced in price. But now we see the age up has come through. The new age has begun. A 4-minute 40 age up. The wheelbarrow on the way through as well for Lucifron. Let's watch and see exactly what direction he goes. How many villages has he got on wood here?
Looks like not a lot, so seems like a fairly balanced eco so far for him.
Perhaps he's just looking to go into pastures potentially. Maybe even thinking about a stable opening. I'm curious what direction he goes here. This feels like such a difficult early game to play against. I think his best option, as you mentioned, might just be fielding a second town center and then looking to go into the castle age.
I think he's playing this one patiently. He's waiting for Feudal Age from his opponent before he makes a move. He wants to be the one reacting immediately to what he sees from his opponent. And what is that? Is that a stable
coming down? Yeah, that's a stable coming up. So he's looking to just play a little bit of a counter-effective against that council hall that we already see.
I mean, the council hall is a given, so he can't go wrong by going for horsemen. I think the bigger question for him is how much he wants to commit to this. He also sees that the gold miners could be a prime target for raids, so we might see some horsemen hit in the field, not even to deal with the longbows that could possibly come out, but just to put up some aggression on that back gold mine of Wam.
Yeah, all right. Well, he looks to continue putting some pressure down here himself. Wam just with a single scout harassing the gold villagers. Got that stable that's come down. We've got the horseman upgrade in queue as well after the double horseman gets trained.
Wam sees the amount of gold miners. Wam knows that this is a fast castle build. It's way too many on gold for Lucifron to stay in Feudal for long, so Lucifron wants to go into Castle Age, just like Wam himself, and indeed, Wam is playing this semi-fast castle build, essentially no army even, so you could call this even a naked fast castle at this point.
Yeah, he should be able to defend against this. I think the biggest issue that you're going to have trying to raid the English villages is they just turn around and shoot you.
Yep.
And when you've got that many villagers on gold, they're very capably able to defend any kind of early aggression like you would see a horseman do.
And the thing is that Wam is fully aware that it's not like Lucifron is committing resources to a lot of horsemen. There is 1 or 2 out there, so as you said, villagers will be more than sufficient. If he saw like 6, 7, 8 horsemen, he would probably commit to either a couple of longbows and just try to stay under a TC, or maybe even a barracks and spearmen, but he saw the amount of gold miners that Lucifron had, so he knows fully well that Lucifron is going into Castle Age, just like he does, aging himself with the King's Palace.
All right, so King's Palace going down on the backline. No real surprise there. It's got about a 99% construction rate in competitive Age of Empires. Obviously, the White Tower does come up sometimes. We did actually see it last week out from Vortex, where he opened with a 2TC. I'm pretty sure it was Vortex, a 2TC Delhi opening, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. Yeah, for the most part, it is almost always the King's Palace. Lucifron on the other side, probably going to be going for the Step Redoubt. Nice little raid attempt. Unfortunately, just going to be idling the villagers for now. Not really going to be able to do too much damage.
Yeah, so far it's textbook fast castle for both players. We can now expect Lucifron to start thinking about the second TC because he knows the King's Pass is coming, so he would fall behind in villagers. He needs to work towards a second TC. But at first, he probably wants to go double Shaman. He's got a bunch of stones stacked up, so Prayer 10 double Shaman and start working his way towards relics. Relics that are very evenly positioned first. Second, relics that could easily be picked up by the Mongol player here. 3 being rather close to him, actually.
Yeah, he's got a pretty decent spawn here with regard to the relics. The main issue he's going to have is that those relics on the north side, or the relic on the north side, is somewhat in an awkward spot where he's going to have to walk down to the south side to get it.
Did I just see Lucifron pushing in the deer with the Gur? Can we just go back there for a second? I'm curious. Is he pushing deer with his backed up Gur? Yes, he is. Oh, come on, Lucifron.
Really? I didn't even know you could do that.
Apparently you can.
I didn't even realize that the Step Redoubt is a drop-off point for all resources. I just thought it was gold.
No.
Now it makes total sense. It's for all resources. It just gives the extra gold.
Exactly. It's like a massive, gigantic Gur. It's just the fact that you don't get bonuses for any other resources, just gold. So that's why it's always on the gold, right?
I guess that makes sense. That's a great point, Litter. Well, we now start to see the beginnings of Wam's strategy. It's the double town center into triple staple. So lots of knights going to be coming out here. Interestingly, we don't see any potential or any Abbey of Kings. I mean, Abbey of Kings would have made sense in this position because you've essentially got those pseudo-French knights. Now moving forward, looking to try and dish out some more damage to Lucifron.
Nice dance with the knights out there. I think the problem with the Abbey that you have here is that the moment you do that, you're screaming at your opponent that I'm going knights. The only reason why you would ever do that is essentially knights in the current meta. And I think going with the Council Hall at least conceals the intentions of Wam for the time being. So, yeah, could have been useful here, but it just is too telling to the opponent. It would have been better for Wam, and it is better for him right now to conceal his intention just by going Council Hall and then just playing with the standard knights.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on the money with that. It also gives you the option to go into longbows a little bit later, and that's something that you will typically want to do. But Wam continuing to wall up. The longer the game goes on for, the better for him, as we talked about a bit earlier. The English reach a very nice peak at about that 40-minute mark where they win 70% of their games. That's a pretty decent number. If you could win 70% of your games, you'd be very happy with that.
I mean, I would be happy if I could win 50% of my games.
Well, you got to start playing the Mongols then, my friend. But now Lucifron going to be looking to try and put on some pressure towards these knights, able to chase them away for the most part. Back behind this, we just still see Stables. And he's done a bit of a loop-to-loop around the corner, and now able to head behind the fences back to safety.
This is more than 5 for Lucifron, though, because look at this. He's picking up the relics, and he's going to have 3 secured already, with a chance to pick up the 4th or maybe even the 5th one, yoink it from right next to the base of Wam. Indeed, he's going to try to do that. Let's see if Wam picks up on this. He saw the relic disappear, so he should know that the scholar is there, but he's looking for him in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things where it's very time sensitive. Because you can see, oh my lord, those charges, big charges coming in. We don't see any smoke coming out though from Lucifron. Is it only the Knights that get the smoke now? The Lancers don't get them at all. But numbers advantage definitely in the favor of Lucifron. He's looking solid at this early stage of the game, and the consequence of having that Uvu enables you to really get a move on when it comes to making those Knights.
And look at that, he chases away all those Knights, resulting in another relic secured. And he could possibly be up to 5 relics over here, Ozzy, with the Mongols. That is easily offsetting the only 8 villagers difference that we have in between the 2 players. And poor Wam, he made a monastery. Oh, he's gonna be very disappointed to see all the relics gone.
Second TC's already come up for Lucifron as well. He's looking good in this game right now. This is looking very, very good for him. The fact he's already got those 4 relics with the second TC as well means that if he's only behind by 8 villagers, he's gonna be in a decent spot. But remember, by the time that really starts being effective, you know, around that 200 population mark, well, the English, they get themselves a little technology I like to call enclosures.
Indeed, it's not you liking to call enclosure, it's literally everybody in the world. But yes, indeed, that is something that could come online as well. Just like the Knights here, coming in for a raise, something that Lucifron did not expect, will be punished by quite a few villagers getting killed.
14 villagers now the difference against each other. So Wam slowly building that lead. The Relic in the north, or Relic in the northwest of the map, still yet to be taken or even challenged by either player. Now those Knights heading towards the gold mine should be able to pick up at least a couple more villagers. Down goes the second villager on that gold mine. Attention turned towards that Knight as it continues running away. He split them up. It's doing a decent job of splitting. And now he's just all over the map. Wam being an absolute menace with these forces.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. He knows that Lucifron has the numbers advantage with the Knights, which he actually no longer has. It's dead even. But he's stretching out the playing field so much, exploiting the weakness of the Mongols that they can't build walls. He's safe back at home. His opponent can't raid him, so he can continue to be the aggressor non-stop and just flank around every once in a while with those Lancers, start picking off villagers, which starts to be a concern for Lucifron, now down by 18 eco.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get really big, and keep in mind, both guys have got the second TC coming up. The difference here is now starting to be the raids. And as you mentioned, we've got walls that can come up for Wam. Lucifron, he can't make any.
Yeah, it's getting concerning for Lucifron. He's got 4 relics to offset some of the eco difference, but keep in mind, on the other side you're up against English farmers, so that 62 villagers is actually more than 62 net. So you get the feel that even with the 4 relics for Lucifron, we're getting to a point where Wam's eco is going to look better than his.
Alright, so here's the question. How does Wam play this now? Because we saw, we just saw Siege in Engineering Improved come in for Lucifron, which means that he's going to be heading into a heavy crossbow mass. Once he's probably setting up about 10-12 crossbows, he's going to probably be going into spears as well, and look to build and transition into just a spear crossbow composition. What's the response from Wam? Is it just going to be, longbows? Is that the way that he plays it?
I think longbows definitely make sense, especially if he works his way towards towers as well to expand the network of castles, but I would love to see him working towards a defensive keep so it doesn't get overrun by a Mongol flood potentially.
Boar getting in on the action. Look at this, taking a bite out of the rear end of Wam, saying thank you very much, but Wam, he ignores it. He says, hey, we're just going straight for the jugular. He looks to try and surround a couple of these units here. Khan gonna have to try and fall back. It manages to get through. No GG's getting called, at least not just yet. Lucifron looking to try and defend on this position. And no, the Khan does go down. Wam looking very strong. He's up on 69 villagers. Extra nice. And Lucifron trying to hold on. He's only got 5 military units. This is it right now. Wam sitting on top of his production.
The price to pay is so high here for Lucifron to clean this up. Sure enough, he's picking off those knights, but when you have so few crossbowmen, you're also losing your crossbows, and those are pricey units as well. And as you said, knights are just camping down the production, and there's the tower coming up for Wam to expand the network of castles. Yet to see any longbows being added, but now Wam is playing with momentum, Wam is playing with confidence, and he's the one non-stop applying pressure to the Mongols in a very time-sensitive game. This is a game where the Mongols can't afford to let it go late, and right now, Lucifron is left without options. He just can't break out of his base because he doesn't have the army to do so.
And it gets harder because he's starting to fall behind on the village count as well. He's down 18 villages at the moment. 4 relics, it might seem decent, but it's not 18 villages, that is for sure. And keep in mind, these are English villages, so just like, you know, most civilizations, you can say, oh yeah, well, this is fine because once we get to the late game, that's when I'll start making the population difference because I'll have the relics and he won't have the relics, and that's where it matters. Well, unfortunately, English, their farms generate gold because that's how they roll. And that same thing, that doesn't exist for the English.
And the thing is that it's not just the gold generation, it's also the boost on the food eco. So those villagers for the English, they're not worth 1 villager, they're worth like 1.1, let's say. So that villager number is actually much larger in reality when it comes to like the combined efficiency of the ecos.
Crossbows looking to hold on in this position, doing decently from the pocket. Infantry numbers starting to build for Lucifron, exactly what he needs. And this is where Wam's got to be careful because there is a very clear timing window in the next, I'd say 5 to 7 minutes where Lucifron can look to push with a decent composition of spearmen together with those crossbows and really look to dish out some damage. Start building that trench, start thinking about springalds together with a mangonel in the event that there's longbows, and we do see longbows are now in queue for Wam. So don't be surprised if you start to see a mangonel in response to that, but then, of course, most importantly, the trebuchets.
Indeed, Wam is preemptively countering all those crossbows out here. Right now he's being outnumbered, and this is not a fight that he can take, but he can fall back behind the walls and just buy himself some time. I still would love to see him work his way towards a defensive castle, because, as you said, this is delicate timing of the Mongols, so being able to drop a defensive keep and buffer it up, slow this push down, could pay dividends later on.
One of the things to remember, if they do look to drop down that defensive keep, Mongols essentially have all the tools that they need to deal with that keep almost immediately. Other civilizations would have to drop down a siege workshop, have to walk or have to train a trebuchet, and then have to walk the trebuchet all the way across the map. The Mongols, however, they just start training a trebuchet on the front line, and it's ready to go. So always something to be very careful of when you're fighting up against the Mongols.
Exactly. That's the thing. Obviously, you can also add springolds to snipe the springolds of the defender. Then again, you have the network of castles boosting the English defender springolds. Still though, you get the feel that Wam just needs to buy himself time over here because he's at a pretty good spot with the eco he has. Yoink's the final relic over here, but he's being outnumbered quite heavily army-wise. And as you said, this deadly unit composition of siege, spearmen, and crossbows is starting to come online here for the Mongols. We might be nearing that window that Lucifron needs to exploit to defeat the English here.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. And we do have a bit of a trench beginning to be built on this forward position, though it is just going to be because of the gold mine there. But hey, it is the start, and those knights getting cleaned up. And now Wam on the backside. He's only on 13 knights,
the
14 longbows. Yeah,
there they go.
Oh, that's a lot of damage coming in right now underneath the town center. Villagers going to be diving towards the second TC. Not going to be able to get inside. There's only 10 spaces, and unfortunately, you got 15 too many, my friend.
I love this from Wam. He's going to lose a couple of knights, but he's buying himself time. Look at the reaction from Lucifron. Has to pull back so many units, delaying this push so much is Wam, while also inflicting heavy damage on the eco in the end. Now he's up by 30 eco. You get the feel that if you buffer this push up here, if Wam can hold this off, Lucifron's position is gonna be very difficult.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Now another raid going to be coming down on these villages at the front. Still looking incredibly decent. The mangonels firing off towards it. We see a couple knights looking to charge down upon this position, but those spearmen able to hold. There's plenty of spears out for Lucifron at the moment. It definitely feels like Lucifron has reached that critical mass. If he's able to capitalize and bring everything together, he should be A-okay. Now we also see a springald coming out for Wam, so he's looking to be a little bit more defensive. Knights running back past the spears. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah, here comes the push though, and yet to see an answer to the mangonels. You gotta be careful with the mangonel fire. That could be the victory for Lucifron. One good volley with the mangonels wins the game for him, but he loses the mangonels, it could all be over.
Yeah, that springald going to be a huge help Not yet to come out on the field, but it is in queue. We hear the mangonels firing off towards the east side, and villagers got to be careful. It's going to be getting plenty of raid bounty from these farms that have been put a little bit too far forward, unfortunately.
Yeah, indeed, some of those could be taken down here. And here comes the push. You gotta be very careful with the dance around those mangonels.
Oh, he's trying his best. Oh, it's a big shot. Lands, hits about 5 of the longbows. The knight's going to be running in. Needed to wait for the Springled. Not sure what the decision-making process was there. Let's train a Springled. Let's make a siege workshop, but let's not fight until it's out on the front line, hey?
Oh, he was so scared for his food eco, but he sacrificed so many longbows in the process, and he gained little. Look at that, another Wally coming in here. He's playing with fire right now.
He really is. He's trying to dance around it. Unfortunately, unable to really hold. The Springled sitting nice and snug, rather, up underneath that town center, but going to expose itself. It's moving forward. Look at the Springled. Wake up, Springled. Springled unfortunately takes out the enemy Springled. Now going to be able to come back behind enemy lines, or rather behind its own lines, but it does go down. Those knights continue hovering, looking for that mangonel, but not going to be able to find it. He's repairing it up as well. Lucifron senses blood in the water, and he says, let's push in, let's take him out. Mangonel shot. Looks like it may have gone a little bit wide. Continues to hold for the moment, but has to head back to the drawing board for now. Villager count still up by about 20 villagers, close to.
Oh, the momentum is disappearing here for Lucifron. He bought himself a lot of time. That is a more than ambitious castle out there, but if it goes up under some miracle, it could cut off all reinforcements. It's high risk, high reward for Wam. Let's see if Lucifron is paying attention to that. He might just be microing his forces. Looks like the keep is cancelled, replaced to the north. But Wam once again is buying himself time over here, and his army is ever growing. I don't know, Ozzy. Lucifron definitely made his position better than what it was, but the question is, was this sufficient for him?
Yeah, I think the one factor that he was missing was the trebuchets. The trebuchets are what link all of this in. You imagine a trebuchet working down the production facilities on the front line, working down the council hall. It's a different game. It's a different ball game completely. But obviously the numbers here, not the heaviest. And that is a consequence of losing so many villagers to those raids. Now continues to push forward. The mangonels looking and going wide once again on the back line. Take a look at the Springleds for Wam. He's only got 1 out at the moment compared to the 3 of Lucifron. So things not doing well. And there's that Springled now moving around over on the farms. He's going to try and find an angle underneath the town center. Let's look to wait and see. There he comes.
Defense.
Yeah, it's very, very there. Oh, he gets the shot off. Hits the Springled. The town center's firing down the mangonel, rather. Mangonel will be going down. There it is. Great job.
It's go time.
Yeah, that is perfect for Wam. And now he's able to look to push in and really dish out some damage. Look at the crossbows as well as the longbows just firing off on this front line. Huge amounts of damage.
The moment that Wam has been waiting for, finally Mangonel is gone. He doesn't care about the Springles. He can push into this one as Lucifron is trying to scramble for a new Mangonel. That hero Springald bought a lot of time here for Wam. And look at this. Now he's gonna have to keep allowing him to possibly get network of citadels to make this an even more favorable fight for him. Lucifron still trying to push into this one, but you get the feel that Wam is gaining strength rather than losing it.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Though the villager lead is dwindling. He's down to a 14 villager lead at the moment. The knights are looming and looking to find another angle. Keep is holding on up towards that northern position, but I start to feel a little bit scared when I hear these double mangonel shots coming out. And look at the bounty resources that are going to be coming in for Lucifron, setting alight a lot of buildings over on this east side of the base.
He has gotten the extra bounty as well, so he's really getting paid for those farms being burnt down. And it looks like Wam indeed is just using the knights to raid, but those could be missing from the battle back at home right now because he's outnumbered heavily in the siege war. 3 Springolds against 2, plus 2 mangonels out there for Lucifron too.
Yeah, he hits the gold villagers, kills a lot of them. He's down to 87 villagers now, 16 villagers the difference. Still no trebuchets out on the field just yet, with the exception of Wam's trebuchet. Very strange to see that a Mongol player would not be the first one to make trebuchets in this position, but he definitely feels like he needs to commit underneath this town center. Very ballsy of him to do that. English town center's notorious for their guns of Gatling.
Oh, look at that raid coming in here. If Wam can hold this aggression off, he could be in a great position to qualify for Heidelberg because the raids are great, but he needs to hold this aggression off here under his town center. First Mangonel gets sniped.
Knights were roaming around that town center, looking pretty decent. He's still taking out villagers on the backside here. He's got the ranged armor in, so he's barely going to be taking any damage. The longbow's looking pretty decent, but the mangonel should be able to get off another shot. Let's see whether it lands. It's going to be decent. The umpire says that's +1 straight through the goalpost, but unfortunately, the longbow still stands strong, and now he looks to turn his attention towards that backside, still holding on for dear life. This TC manages to take out the mangonel, and he once again heads back to the drawing board with 0 mangonels. Can you imagine if Lucifron had a single trebuchet this entire time, just slowly working down the buildings of his enemy? Is this the no trebuchet challenge?
Oh, that would have been so valuable. And Wam is just pulling off a miracle here holding this, very reminiscent to what Lucifron did in game number 1. Same scenario, Mongols, relentless aggression, but they couldn't break through. Wam is holding, and he was able to inflict a lot of damage on Lucifron's eco. Lucifron is down to 73 eco, and what's more concerning is that for the first time in quite a while, he's behind in army numbers, numbering 41 against 47.
Yeah, things not looking good now. Wam has definitely survived the hard part. We talked a bit earlier about that 5 to 7 minute window. That's came, that's gone, and unfortunately Lucifron didn't make any trebuchets, and it feels like from here it's going to be difficult for Lucifron to pull out a victory, but we've said that before, so let's not count him out just yet.
Indeed, Lucifron is pretty much in this one still. He needs some firepower though to start threatening buildings, and he also needs to deal with these ever-increasing raids because his gold miners are now under attack, and he's struggling for gold. He's definitely starting for gold, actually, not just struggling for it.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, other than this gold mine, it doesn't look like he's got access to any other gold mine, or at least he's looking to take any other gold mine. I'm not sure if he's aware of that one down to the south of his base. He's got, I think that's a large gold vein down there.
Yeah, I think there might be a knight guarding it from Wam.
Ooh, that could be, yeah, that's very painful. It's just, oh, never mind. It's a religious man. It's a man without a sword. It'll be fine.
At least he's getting paid with bounty, right? So there is definitely some gold income coming in from those as well.
Knights, oh, look at this. This is beautiful. The trebuchet took out the outposts that were holding that position down. And so now the knights are able to take out the villagers that were inside defending, that were sitting on that gold vein. But now the mangonels moving forward. That's going to be the key factor here. We're going to be looking to watch the mangonels. Springald's getting out a decent trade, taking out the first of the enemy Springald's. Got to be careful not to move up too close. They're moving up pretty close. Oh, Lord, be careful, Springald's. It's all about those guys. And now the knights coming in with a decent charge, hitting a lot of those men-at-arms. And now at the same time underneath the TC, more raiders coming in. The trebuchet might go down underneath that keep, but that's not the real problem. The real problem's over here. Mangonel firing off some deep shots, hitting the Springald. Springald also looking to return fire. All the Springalds are now down for Lucifron, leaving the mangonels exposed. And we see the Springalds pushing up forward for Wam. He's having an absolute field day. At the same time, the crossbows, the longbows looking to hold on. Things not looking good for Lucifron. This could be it right here. He knows it's do or die right now. The mangonels once again come back in looming. The Springalds are pushed back away, and the big shot comes in. It's going to go a little bit wide. Lucifron holding on, trying his best, but Wam is just looking more impressive. It's going to be a retreat from Lucifron. And still, we are yet to see a trebuchet from him.
Absolutely crazy game out here, Lucifron. He's fighting for his tournament life right now, and he's just trying everything he can to push through. Inch by inch, he's securing some ground, but you see relentless defense here by Wam. He's still holding his position, ever increasing his longbow numbers. And as you said, once again, Lucifron has to go back to the drawing board, has to once again start adding Springals to match the numbers of Wam, and still not a single trebuchet from Lucifron. And now Wam is moving out to punish that exposed gold mine. Lucifron could be starved out of gold here, and that could be his demise.
Yeah, this is really, really tough. It's curious that he's still yet to go down for that southern gold, but now more villagers running out towards his gold mine, just getting cleaned up. He's sitting on 80 villagers at the moment, compared to Wam, who's on 120. That is 50% more villagers than your enemy. That feels definitely very good.
These siege versus siege battles, you have to focus on them non-stop. It's a micro war. You can't look away. So by the time you notice your villagers being slain, it could be too late. And Lucifron's being distracted. Part of the reason why Wam can win these battles so well.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You blink for a second and they're all gone. And now the Springalds looking to fire down upon each other. Springald on Springald action. The mangonels looking to try and dish out some damage as well. Not going to have too much luck. Longbow's doing decently, but all of the Springalds have gone down for Wam at this point in time. He's got 3 out. I don't know where he's pulled those bad boys from, but the Knights have moved forward. Where are all the Spearmen right now? Spearmen nowhere to be seen. The Knights going to be able to clear out the Springalds. At the same time, the Springalds come out and good game gets called. Lucifron taps out. Wam is going to Heidelberg. Wam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Jeez Louise, what an absolute hold from the man.
What a show that he has put down to the table. He was once already one game away from qualifying to Heidelberg. He was the number 2 player on the weekly leaderboard among unqualified players. He was so close, and he has put down a spectacle today against a very powerful Lucifron. This Lucifron has played stellar yesterday, and today he was also so good. But Wam just played a completely different level. This hold here, non-stop dancing against the mangonel fire, playing with fire, but never really burning himself. Absolutely stellar performance, and Wam, long time overdue, he gets his ticket into Heidelberg in a stellar 4-1 victory.
Absolutely incredible stuff from Wam. That last game in particular, wasn't that absolutely intense? Constantly jostling for position. Never once had those trebuchets come out. I suspect it may have been a little bit different, but unfortunately for Lucifron, they never did come out. Wam picking up the victory there. Huge congratulations going over.